hit the record button.
It's always nice that that's there so to remind you.
Yes, I thought about it just a second ago, and then of course I didn't hit it. So again, all of those items will be up in the Canvas course for you to go back and review. So I will turn it over to Casey so we can get started. And oh, one other one, just remember our EdTech PD portal, we've got opportunities. We have a few more sessions with Casey and I here in the month of April. And then know that you can come to office hours from 4 to 5, Monday through Friday. And it's an opportunity to even brainstorm how can you utilize the tools and things that you have within the classroom.
And then I'm gonna just really quickly highlight. So let me pull in. All right, so just as a reminder, let me get logged in. As a reminder, you guys, and I think John, you should be already part of Kelly's Canvas training course, but remember that we can participate through Canvas with our kids. So we can have our kids joining our lessons through Canvas. So I'm going to encourage you to do that right now. John, you're going to actually start as a student today. So if you will open Kelly's Canvas training course.
The desk is a cool idea.
I get out of this option, is that correct? I exit out to get in?
So you're going to want to open a new tab. Okay. And Kelly, you can talk to, what's the best way for you guys to get into your Canvas? Do you guys use ClassLink? What's the best way?
Yes, we use ClassLink. So going through our ClassLink, our single sign-on, clicking on your Canvas, and John, because you've been a part of the class, it should show up in your dashboard. If it doesn't, remember, go to courses, all courses.
All right, ma'am. Apologize. Okay.
No, you're good. You're good.
That's what we're going to take the time, but I want to make sure that you can see what you're going through it from the student side of things. And I don't, I'm not going to be able to do it quite through the same way for you guys because I didn't get it up ahead of time. So I want to make sure that you guys do.
Okay, thank you. Oh yes, wow, it's there. I did not know that.
Yeah, so there's a lot of magic here, John. So if you click on Kelly's Canvas training course, go ahead and click on it.
Yes, ma'am, I'm there. Wow, that's
We're not going to deep dive all of her amazingness, but one of the things you should see is the button for Smart.
Oh, yes, ma'am, I see it. Yes, okay.
Click Smart.
Yes, ma'am.
And then it's going to take you to, it's going to open a screen in just a minute. That's going to be our student sign-in screen. Go ahead and click Join a New Class.
Okay, let's see here. Because it's join as a guest, but I don't do that.
Yeah, just join as, choose join as a guest. Usually we would have, John, we would have our students sign in, but you're just going to be in temporarily. So just click Join as Guest.
Yes, ma'am. And then sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead. You're going to enter class ID 11311. So 11311.
Yes, ma'am.
And you'll enter your first name. That's fine.
Got it.
And you'll hit next, and that should bring you in.
Wow. Will that number 11311 be always, ma'am?
That's always my number. You're going to have your own number, which John will look at in just a little bit, but you're in my class right now.
Okay.
So when you did that, what it should have done is opened a little screen right here, and it should be showing you this same thing I'm looking at now.
Yes, ma'am.
Right? Perfect.
Yes.
And John, that's a way of being able to utilize it with your students instead of them having to open a tab and go to Hello Smart. Again, giving them that opportunity to stay within Canvas. So if there are other items that you're needing them to go to, they're going to have to, after you do an activity, they're going to have to go into the modules and, find an item that you have there, video. It keeps them, again, all within Canvas.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Yeah, so it's a really nice thing that you can stay all within Canvas and keep your kids in there and everything. So that's, Kelly has a really great tool that she's built to help you understand how to share synchronously, like I'm doing with you right now, and asynchronously, all within Canvas. So I know that she'll make sure that you have that resource too.
Thank you.
Now, today we're talking about formative assessment, and I want to highlight a couple of tools for you that I think are going to be really effective and good for you to use with your students. So I'm going to move my page down, and that's going to bring you down to, if you see on my screen, I actually have two sides, my teacher side and my student side, because I'm going to be in
Yes.
here as well. For you, you're just you can be looking at your student side. Monster Quiz and another game that's very similar called Teen Quiz are great ways to review content with your kids, maybe before an assessment that they have. It's a fun way to make sure that they are checking in with themselves. Great for formative assessment to see, hey, how am I doing? How much more studying do I need to do before the big test? Things like that. So when I click start for class, and this is one that I do have to do synchronously. So the first three things I'm going to show you requires the teacher to hit start. So there are three tools you would only want to use synchronously. The last few tools are things we can do asynchronously, so your kids do not need you to start them. So I'm going to hit start for a monster quiz. And what it's going to do is it's going to ask me to divide my students into teams. Okay, so I'm going to click as a teacher, divide into teams, and I can choose how many teams I want to put my students in. I'm going to put my students into 2 teams today. It automatically throws my kids into teams. Now, if I think, oh goodness, I do not think Casey and John are a good match, I can move, drag and drop Casey into the other group. So you have the option of moving your kids around. Once I put my kids into groups, now I'm going to hit start quiz. Just so you know, what's going to happen is the people on your team are all answering the questions instantly, but together as a team, the better you do, the faster you grow your monster and break them out of their cocoon or whatever they're in, breaks them out and helps your team win. So you individually are answering and collectively you're helping each other. To me, it's kind of like baseball, right? With baseball, you're the one standing up at bat. You have to do that independently, but what you do when you're at bat is helping your team overall.
Yes,
so I'm
ma'am.
going to hit start quiz. Once I do, you're going to see that you're going to have questions pop up to answer. When you get an answer right, I will get notification that you got that answer right. If you get one wrong, I just see that it's just your computer shake a little bit.
Yes, I have no idea.
I mean, I'm at a good job, John. I saw you got one.
I know.
I'm
Okay.
at an advantage. I wrote the question.
It's okay, John. I'm struggling myself.
These are just fun trivia questions. So one of the things that you'll notice, and we don't have to even finish, but when I hit end quiz, John, I'm going to see, okay, Firestormers got first and the other team got second. I can hit review. And notice on your side, John, you see exactly how you did the first time you did the assessment. So if you got something right or wrong, you know, the first time around. As a teacher, I can see how my team did immediately. So I can see the Firestormers got the questions right the first time 70% of the time. And then we finished in 50, or I closed the lesson in 55 seconds. As a teacher, I can hit class review and we can really dive in. So when I look at this question 1, we need to talk about this because most of us got that question wrong. Versus question 2, all of us got it right. So I don't need to spend time on that. So as a teacher, before a big assessment, I can use this to talk about the misconceptions or things my kids are struggling with. And I can see clearly where we need to spend more time versus that question 2. I don't need to spend time on that at all.
John and I were on the same path because we answered some of the same ways.
So one of the things I can also do is I can always have my kids reflect and kind of think about what questions they got wrong. So I usually have my kids really reflect on their responses because it has the question and the answer, and I'll have them use their notes to kind of, you know, write quick reflections on why they think they got that wrong or where they were having a misunderstanding, or they can ask questions from that. So they use this to really inform themselves of, hey, where do I need help? Where do I need to ask my teacher for help? Where do I need to go and get support from a fellow student? So Monster Quiz is a really great way for us to have fun, while reviewing for a lesson. Sometimes I'll use Monster Quiz too to jumpstart a new unit. So I'll do it as like a pre-assessment, but instead of it being a pre-assessment necessarily for the kids, although sometimes it's good for them to reflect too on where they're starting. Sometimes I'll use how the kids responded as to help me personalize instruction, right? Because sometimes my second period class may really get something already that my first period class has no idea about. So if I do that pre-assessment, I know for period 2, I need to gear my lesson more towards this, but first period, I need to gear a little bit more towards that. So it can really help from that perspective. Another tool that needs to be done synchronously is this response tool. Now, this response tool is a great way to give an assessment, formative or summative. It will give you an Excel spreadsheet of your students' data. So at this time, when I hit start for you, you're going to have some different questions. Now, this is not going to be game-based like the last one. This is more of like a true assessment. So when I click start for class, as a student, I'm going to have my questions start to pop up, and I'm going to go ahead and answer them. Now, I just did a variety of questions. So some of them it might be easier for you than others, but you just mark your answer. And then right above it, you see these blue arrows. You're going to click the blue arrow to your next question. And you will answer that and keep arrowing over.
Okay.
I was nicer on this one, at least for some of them. When I get all the way through, I'm going to be prompted to submit all answers. And then I'm going to be prompted again to submit. So you can tell your kids, you know, and they say, oh, I accidentally did that. They're giving 2 chances to turn those in. Now, one of the things that you can note here as a teacher is I can actually show the questions live. So if I need to read a question out loud to my students, I can do that. I can even show live results. So on the right here, if I was doing more of a poll opinion or doing this as like a pre-reading activity or something like that, where I wasn't worried about kids having right or wrong answers, I could show live results. It'll show me as a bar graph, or in the top right corner, I can change that to a pie graph.
Okay.
Okay, so where the real power comes in is the ability to end the activity and export those results. So when I click end activity, and I can click end and review, there's 2 great things here. One is for me as a student, I'm going to know exactly what my grade is and how I did immediately. So I can arrow through as a student and see whether I got answers right or wrong. I can also click, there's 3 blue lines in the top corner. If I click on that, it tells me immediately that what my grade is. At the bottom, it tells me whether I got a 85 or 100 or whatever it is. So your students know immediately how they did, which is great. But now let's go back to the teacher, because again, there's some real power that comes in here in that we can export results. So if you look right here on the teacher side, John, for me, I see that export results button.
Yes,
When
ma'am.
I click on that, it's going to save a copy of an Excel spreadsheet inside of my downloads folder. And now I can actually open that spreadsheet. And it's really, really cool because I'm going to have a heat map. I'm going to have all of my students' grades. Everything is here for me in this one spot. So response actually gives you data that you can open and use, add to your grade book. So if you look here, I can look at my grades going down on the left side here. I can look across and see how my students did as well. So if it's green, they got it right. If it's red, they got it wrong. So if I look, for instance, at question 2, only 33% of my kids got question 2 right. That tells me that I need to do something on my end as a teacher. So either I thought I covered something and I didn't, or maybe the question wasn't written very well, it tells me, hey, maybe that question needs to be thrown out. Maybe I need to do some reteach and it still needs to be thrown out. I need to really think about what's happening there. And then like I can see question 3, that one was not a problem at all. Everyone seemed to be successful in that. So I don't need to spend a lot of time there. So you can really use this data, and you have your grades already done that you can put into your grade book as well. So that tool is really, really helpful, that response tool. And again, I can arrow through to talk about the responses with my students too live. And what's really neat is on the short answer, it builds a word, like a word map where we could have all the different words, and the bigger the word, the more people respond with that same word, which is really neat as well. So that response tool is really nice tool to use with our kids.
It's a great way, John, for your subject, because you're talking about the different countries and stuff. It may, or the different continents, you know, really being able to, you know, look for something specific on one of the countries within the continents. And that way you can have them put in a word, you know, maybe that represents that area that you're
Right, yes,
discussing.
Right.
And John, what's really cool too, if you'll notice, because with maps and things that you have to use from the student side, if you notice, I'm looking on the student side, I have this little bracket in the corner. If I click on that, that magnifies the word a little bit, zooms it in. So if you have maps like that or other things that your kids need to see a little bit more carefully, you can actually zoom in.
Okay.
So same thing, I can zoom into those bananas, I can zoom into that Coke. So if I had something where you need them to be able to see it more carefully and not have it too small, you can still add those pictures, because now we have that ability to click on that magnifier in the bottom right corner and make it expand for us.
That's excellent.
Yeah, I love that tool. All right, so we're gonna this is a third one that requires us to do the hit start. So this is another one we would only want to do synchronously. This is a shout it out. Shout out can be used in a lot of ways. It can be used for exit tickets, entrance tickets, for students to self-reflect, for brainstorming. So like if you're starting starting to study a new country, having your kids tell you everything they know about that country before you jump off, things like that. But today we're going to talk about how to use shout out as an assessment or as a check-in with our students.
Okay.
So when I did this one, I did it slightly different than other ones in the past. So when I hit start for class, what I've done is I've done 2 categories. I like my kids to have to self-reflect when they're doing exit tickets. So let's say I'm having my kids summarize what they learned in today's lesson, but I'm saying, hey, if you are feeling really good about what we learned, like you feel confident, like you could go teach this to someone else, or you could go take a test tomorrow, I want you to put your 6-word summary in the I've got it side. If you're feeling like, I'm not so confident, I think I have some questions still, I don't feel like I could teach this to someone else, I want you to still do a 6-word summary, but I want you to add it to your help please side. Now, one thing on the teacher side of this, none of my students are going to want to put their answer in the help please if they're worried their name's going to be attached there. So as a teacher on this settings tool, I can make sure that my names are turned off so that students' names will not be shown. So now my students are comfortable sharing, and I can turn that back on later. So if I was doing a 6-word summary, let's see on the weather. Let's do it on whatever you want to do. 6-word summary on smart learning suite online. Engaging, fun to use with students. That's 2, 4, 6, perfect. So that could be my 6-word summary, right? If you're doing a 6-word summary on here, and I'm missing a letter. There we go. So at this point, underneath here, I can choose which category to send it in. So if I feel really confident about what I've learned, I'm going to send it to the I've got this side and send response. So now we can see where people are, but notice I don't know who said math problems are difficult for me. But later, when I'm not showing this up for the whole class to see, I can then come back and turn on settings, and I can display names, and now I can see, oh, that was Kelly who said that she's struggling with the math problem. So that tells me, hey, I might need to do a reteach with Kelly. I might want to set up a conference with her. I might want to check in with her more often while I'm walking around the class moderating and monitoring. So you can really think about what you learned about your students based on how they're self-assessing and how they're filling out their exit ticket. All right, I'm gonna close in on the last couple examples, and then we're gonna jump into actually doing. So this is one where I took a graphic organizer, John, and I just personalized it. So I thought about some things I would want to know based on our learning. So, and this is something I could use over and over again, right? So today we learned we could be learning about a different country, a different continent, a different cultural experience, things like that. So this can be used over and over again. I want my kids to create a mind map. I want them to summarize. I want them to share questions they still have. And then I want, again, for them to rate and self-assess on how confident they are. They'll be able to move that blue dot to show where they are in their learning. Now this right now, you'll notice you don't have any tools and you cannot move as a student that blue dot because I have this set to teacher view. I can change this to make it an individual handout. So each of you can have your own copy. So now as a student, when I hit start, I'm gonna now have my own version and I'm gonna have my text tool, my image tool. I can move this to show how confident I feel. I can use my text tool to add what we're learning about. We're learning about formative assessment. So I can add that in there. I can add all of this different information. I can come in now as a teacher, I can come and check in to see how Kelly's doing, see what she's up to. I can come and check to see how Casey's doing. So we can see all of that work in real time and reflect.
Now you can check on me.
Now you can check on Kelly.
I couldn't finish
Where were
typing.
you, Kelly? There she is. I learned more ways of how I might use SMART for formative assessment. Great. So we can see, and I can give Kelly feedback too. So I can put a little check mark in here to let her know I'm checking in and seeing how she's doing too. Okay, and we're about to jump into the teacher side of things. One last thing I just wanted to address is that we also have the ability to use some tools that are already built for us. So we have some question reflection pages that are already built, but we can also customize them. So we can just pull this in, it's already built. If I want my kids to share 3 facts, 2 questions, and a big idea, I don't have to build it. It's built for me. I can just grab it and add it to my lesson. So with the last part of our time today, we're gonna actually go and practice using some of these tools. So we're gonna go and have a little playground. So I'm gonna minimize my student version and maximize my teacher side. I'm gonna go ahead and end this lesson. And what I would like you to, John, you can close your Canvas at this point, and I want you to get to your Google Drive account.
Okay.
So go ahead and get into your Google Drive account like we did before. And once you're in your Google Drive, you're there?
Yes.
Awesome. All right, so as a reminder, John, when we want to build with Smart Learning Suite online in our Drive, you're going to click on the new button in the left corner. You're going to click more, and then you're going to click Smart Learning Suite.
Okay, one more.
New, more, Smart Learning Suite.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm not, should I not be in Google Docs?
No, you want to be in your Google Drive, not Google Docs.
Okay.
So what you'll do, John, is if you
Okay.
click on those Google apps on the top right corner, the 3x3, you are looking for a triangle, and underneath that triangle it says Drive.
Yes,
That's what you want to be.
I
Drive
remember
is
that.
kind of the holder of all of the Google stuff.
Right, I do remember that from last week. Yes, ma'am. Okay. If you
So
bear
just
with
as a reminder, you're going to click that new, more, and then you should see Smart Learning Suite as an option.
Okay.
And it should open a new tab for you.
Okay. Okay, so here, That's a new,
More
got it.
Smart Learning Suite.
Okay. Oh, yes, I gotta remember that. Yes.
I always think of, I'm doing something new and it's more than Google. And then it's smart. New, more smart. And
Yes,
once
ma'am.
you're there, you should see a screen that kind of looks like mine. Are you seeing a screen that kind of looks like mine, John?
You want me to sign in as a teacher?
Yes, sign in as a teacher. So in the bottom right corner, click teacher sign in and you'll sign in with your Google account.
Okay. Yes, I'm there. Oh,
Okay, perfect.
right.
So John, I just wanted to point out really quickly, if you look at the blue bar across the top, you should see class ID. Mine's
Yes.
11311. You should have a different number. That number is always your number. It does not change.
Got it. Yes, ma'am. I remember you said from last week. Yeah.
All right, so at this point, we're gonna add some activities. We're just gonna make a formative assessment playground today. So you're gonna click on that green add activities button with me.
Okay. All right. Yes,
And
I
the
remember.
first thing we're gonna build is we're gonna actually build a monster quiz. So our monster quiz is found under game-based activities.
Okay.
Go ahead and click on that.
Yes, I can remember from last week.
Casey, slow down maybe just a second.
Yeah.
Let him take the notes.
And I'm there.
Okay, so once we're in game-based activities, we have a bunch of different ones to choose from. Today I highlighted for us monster quiz.
Got
I
it.
just want to point out monster quiz and team quiz, they're basically the same thing, but one has the monsters and one doesn't. So if you click on the little magnifying glass in the top corner next to team quiz, it'll actually show you a quick picture of what that game looks like.
Yes.
So there's a little X that you can X out of.
Okay.
And if you click on the magnifying glass next to monster quiz, you can see what that one looks like. They're going to work the same, except for instead of growing a monster, you're kind of moving around this little icon. So you
Okay.
can choose to either build a monster quiz to play with, or you can do team quiz. Either one, it doesn't matter because you're going to have the same insides.
Okay. Sorry.
On monster quiz.
Yes, I'm going to do. Yes.
Okay. So when we do, we're taken to our little wizard here. So we have two types of questions we can use in monster quiz: multiple choice or true false. I'm going to do multiple choice for my first question.
Okay.
So I'm going to click on multiple choice, and then you're going to be brought in where you have the place where you can type your question and you can type your answers. You can type anything. I'm just going to keep things really simple. I'm going to do math for right now.
Okay.
But you can ask some questions you might ask your students in real life too for their assessment. And then underneath there, you're going to put your different answers.
Got it. All right.
And you can have up to 4 different choices for multiple choice, or you can stick to 2 or 3. 2, obviously you have to have, but the 3 and the 4, the third and fourth options are optional.
Got it. Yes, ma'am. Click on next.
Okay, before you click on next, one thing that I always forget to do, John, is I have to decide what my right answer is. So right now it's highlighting that 16 is my right answer and 8 is really my right answer. So I'm going to click in the bubble next to 8 to show that is the right answer.
Okay.
Okay, that way all of my right answers aren't A or B or that first one. Now I don't want to hit next yet because we're going to do at least 2 questions today. So
All right.
up at the top, in the top right corner, notice you have that blue bar that says add question.
Oh, yes, ma'am. Okay.
This time I'm going to do a true false question. So right above where I would type my question, I'm going to click that down arrow next to multiple choice, and I'm going to switch to true false.
Okay.
That's how I can switch to back and forth to different questions.
All right.
And I'm just going to put 5 + 5 = 11, and I'm going to mark that as false.
All right.
Now, ordinarily, I would probably add some more questions, but for today, I want us to have time to play with and build some other things. So I'm just going to keep it with 2 questions rather than adding another one. So
Mhm.
now we're going to hit that next button in the bottom right corner.
Okay.
And when we do that, now I can make some other decisions. So notice in the right corner, 1, it says randomized question order. So that means if my kids are sitting next to each other on 2 different devices, the questions aren't going to be exactly the same. If I turn that off, everybody's getting the questions at the exact same time. So for me in high school, I want to randomize the question order. I don't want them to be able to just look at each other and help each other out in this response. Underneath there, I can choose to give a time limit to my questions, or I can turn it off. With high school, I recommend having that time limit on, but you can adjust the time. So if you have lengthier questions where the kids are going to have to really think, or maybe they're going to have to use their notes to do to kind of read through, you can increase how much time you give them. You can give them 3 minutes, 30 seconds, you can decide. It defaults automatically to 15 seconds. So you can decide what's appropriate depending on what types of questions you're asking. Okay. Once you've chosen those options, you're just going to hit finish. And just like that, you've built a monster quiz.
Wow.
So pretty easy, pretty fast to do. You can even copy and paste. So if you have a quiz that you give, John, you can copy and paste those questions over. You don't even have to type them. If you have it as a digital copy, I could just copy and paste too. And then notice here, I can always hit edit. So if I want to add some more questions, we only added 2 today. If I want to add more, I can hit edit, and that same wizard will pop up where I can keep adding questions.
That's terrific.
Any questions about Monster Quiz?
No, I love it. I just absolutely love it.
Great. So here's what we're going to do, John, and we're going to actually build separate these. So in the top left corner where it says Untitled,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
want you to click on Untitled, and let's just call this Monster Quiz.
Okay. Okay.
And you can hit Finish Editing,
Okay.
and it'll take you back to your dashboard.
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to build something else, but just note, if I want to do this monster quiz with my students, all I have to do is hover over this and hit start. And the great thing is you can use the same monster quiz with every one of your classes. You don't have to have a different monster quiz, because it will reset for each class. So we're going to go back to add activities. I'm going to introduce you to a different tool. So go ahead and click on that green add activities.
Yes, ma'am.
And this time we're going to explore response. Response is the one that I got the Excel spreadsheet of the answers that my kids did, that graded it for me, did all the work for me.
Okay. And I'm there.
So the response is this center one with the yellow check mark. So you're just going to click on it, and it's going to open the wizard. Kind of like Monster Quiz. So notice this looks very much like Monster Quiz, except for I have more question types. So now instead of just having multiple choice and true false, I have multiple answer, I have poll opinion, and I have short answer. So here I'm going to choose multiple answer. So I can have multiple answers options. So you could do something like, which countries are part of South America, and have like 3 countries that are and 1 country that's not.
Okay. Yes.
So I'm going to just do, what are SLS online games? So I can just choose, put some that are and some that are not. And notice that with a monster quiz, you can have more than just the 4 answers that they give you. You can continue to add to them. I'm just going to leave mine with 5 options, and 3 of them are going to be examples and 2 are not.
Wow, this is so neat. I mean, this is fantastic.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite pieces. So one other thing, John, just notice right here where it says drag an image or browse for one in the top right corner.
Yes,
If
ma'am.
I click on that, I can pull up, I can either add an image of the continent, or I can even search for one. So if we were doing, say, South America map, I can search for one, and maybe I want one that doesn't have any of the names of the countries on them. So I could choose one that's kind of blank, or I could choose one that does have it. So here's one that's blank. I can click OK. So that just has that image there.
I'm sorry, one more time. Just how did you get to that image part?
So what I'm going to do is right next to where I see that where I typed in my question, there's a browse for image.
Yes, ma'am.
If I click on that, another window's going to pop up, and I can either upload an image or I can do a Bing Safe search.
Okay, I just did. Yes, ma'am. I just had not clicked on it. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I kind of went through, kind of touched on that pretty quickly.
Yes, ma'am.
And then just notice too, John, that on that for the answer choices, you'll also see little mountains in the top right and the right corner of each answer. Instead of using text, you could look for images instead.
Oh, wow.
You could do that too. And it's going to bring up that same option where you can either upload an image that you have saved on your computer or search for one.
Oh my gosh, that's fantastic. I love
So let's add one more question. So again, notice that I have that add question in the top right
yes,
corner.
ma'am. Okay.
Go ahead and let's just add one more. So we'll have two questions.
Okay.
Remember, right above where you type your question, you can click the down arrow and switch what type of question it is.
Okay.
So I'm going to do short answer.
Got it.
What is your favorite continent?
Okay.
And I could again add, let's say I'm going to add a world map to this one.
Okay.
Once we have our two questions, go ahead and hit next.
Now,
and here we can add a title if we want. We can also add instructions for our students if we want to. Those are optional.
Yes, ma'am. Before I click on next, I put in the question. I leave the open answer alone, correct?
Okay, so there's two options, right? So the open answer, the short answer I did, there's only this is opinion based, right? So there is no wrong answer, so I left it open.
Got it.
I'm going to add one other question, a short answer question. Let's assume that there is only one right answer. Let's see. Let's see if I was doing 4 plus 4 equals. Here, there's only one right answer. So I'm going to click in here that there's one answer, and I'm going to type in what that one answer should be.
Oh, okay, got it.
So depending on whether there is a correct answer or if there's not, you're either going to leave it completely open, or you'll mark here and leave either if there's more than one option as an answer, so that we know that there's more than one correct answer. We could add up to 4 correct responses. Or if there's only one correct response, I can just add that one response.
Got it. Yes,
good question.
All right, thank you.
And so now I'll hit next. I can add a title or instructions. I'm not going to do that now.
Right.
So I'm going to hit finished.
Got it.
So same thing, it's going to build that response for me. We'll be in editing mode in just a moment. Notice that I can edit. So if I want to come back and add more questions later, I can. And then the same thing that we did before in the top left where it says untitled, let's just click on there and name this response.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, this is another example, John, that you would not need to have more than one copy of this response, because if you give this same assessment to one class and then you give it another to another class, each time you hit start, it's only collecting data from that one group of students. And when you click export results, you will get an Excel spreadsheet for just that class period. And then when your next class period comes in and you start this again and you export results, you'll only have the data for that class period.
Right.
So now we can hit finish editing in the left corner here.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's right.
I think I'm okay. I think I'm already there. I think I'm already.
Oh, you might have done, yes. You might have hit
Oh,
that. and
yes,
you're
I
back
did.
in the
I
main
did. Sorry.
page. Perfect.
Yeah, I'm there. Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we're gonna look at 2 other things really quickly, and then we're gonna make sure you understand how you can share or do these lessons or these activities with your kids.
All right.
We're gonna click on that green add activities button again.
Okay.
Okay, and this time, so we're basically sticking in these activity templates right now. So I did game-based, we did response. The next one we're gonna do is shout it out.
Okay.
Okay, shout it out is where I did earlier, where we did summarize your learning in 6 words, and they could put it either into I've got it category or help please category. We're gonna do something similar, but a little bit different. So in the top part, I can add my question, like my exit ticket. So I'm going to have share one thing that surprised you today.
Okay.
In your learning, I should say in your learning today. Or we could get some really interesting answers, right? In your learning today. If I just ask what surprised them.
Okay. And then.
Okay, so right underneath that question, right now it's highlighting randomized. I want you to switch to categories.
All right.
And what we're going to do is we're going to do kind of that same thing I did earlier where help or I got it, except for we're going to use weather to help us. So are they clear skies, which means they get it. They can see all of the learning. They have clear skies. They don't have any clouds. They're not confused at all.
Okay.
I'm going to type clear skies in one category. So you want to click on categories, and right underneath, you're going to type clear skies under that first option.
Am I like category 1?
Yep, in category
Okay.
1.
So clear skies.
Yeah, clear
Okay.
skies.
Got it.
And then underneath there, go to category 2, and I want you to put cloudy.
All right.
Skies.
Yes.
And then where it says add a category right below cloudy skies, I want you to put foggy.
Okay.
On the right side over here, we can have our students share text or images. I want them to share text. They're going to answer the question. So I'm going to leave it marked text.
Oh, okay.
Underneath tells me how many times a student can share an answer. So right now they're allowed to share 3 times. I can lower that to 1 time or increase that however I want. Then underneath there, I can show or hide names. In this case, I'm asking kids a pretty personal question where I want them to be honest on how they're feeling about their learning. So I'm going to hide their names.
All right.
And now we're going to hit next. I have the classic gray background, but I actually want to switch to the custom background. So click on the custom background so you have a blue square around that.
Yes, ma'am.
And hit next.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now notice that we can see our 3 categories, and in the top right corner of each category, we have these little mountains. I'm going to click on there, and I'm allowed to browse for images. So I'm going to click in this center box, and I'm looking for clear skies. So I'm doing a being safe search. I don't want any clouds, so I'm going to search till I see one that's clear. Oh, here's one. Has not a cloud in sight. So I'm going to click on this clear sky. And I'm going to click OK.
Okay. Very quickly. I clicked on the little mountain, but do I click on default or custom?
Here, I'll show you. I'm going to do it again. So watch me right now, John. I'm going to click on that mountain.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to actually click in the center where it says drag an image or browse. Click in that center. And it brings up that same window we played with earlier. You're going to do a being safe search. I've already done clear skies, so now I'm going to look for cloudy skies. And I don't want it too cloudy, just somewhat cloudy. Let's see. I think I will like, here's a good one, I think.
Okay.
And I click OK, and then I hit save. So now I have 2 different backgrounds.
Yes.
And my last one, I'm going to click on that same mountain in the top right corner for foggy now. I'm going to click in that center where it says drag an image or browse, and I'm going to search for foggy. And I'm going to look when looks pretty foggy. Let's see, this one looks unclear. And I'm going to click save.
Okay.
So at this point, you see for me, I have 3 different types of skies. So if my kids are getting it, they feel good, they're going to put their answer under clear skies. If my kids are mostly getting it, but have a couple questions, they're going to add their answer to cloudy skies. And if they're like, I'm having a hard time seeing what's happening and getting it, they'll put their response in foggy.
All right.
So once you have your 3 images, are you there, John?
I don't want to keep you, but no, I mean, okay. Every time I clicked on the mountain and I got custom, default, and then no image. Is that,
Yeah, so you're not going to click anything up here. It should be defaulted to custom. You're going to just leave it there.
Right.
Then you're going to click in the middle box where it says drag an image or browse.
So that's why I didn't.
Yeah, click in that middle box and that will bring up where you can search for an image or select image. So you're going to search.
Okay.
And that's all right. We have time. So go ahead and search for an image that goes with either clear, cloudy, or foggy, depending on which category you're in.
Okay. So, okay. So it says, am I in the right place? Add an image. Is that correct?
Yes. So it should
Upload.
be.
Okay.
Yes.
Enlarge this.
Add an image. So when we're going to add an image, upload means you have an image already saved on your computer. I didn't have one saved, so I want to go down where it says add online images.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm going to click in that box. And I'm looking for cloudy skies. I'm on my middle one. So I'm going to look for cloudy skies. So I'm going to type cloudy skies and I'm going to click the magnifying glass.
Okay, that's what I'm not doing. Okay, thank you. I will do it.
Oh, sure. That's why I wanted to make sure we got clear. And then you just search until you kind of scroll down until you feel like you found a good one for that. I like this one.
Oh, yes, I see it. I see it. Okay, and then just put in the selected image. Is that correct or no?
Yeah, then click OK. Yeah, select the image and then it'll say, then click OK. And then you'll hit save.
Got it. Oh,
Okay.
I see. Okay, thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Got it. So
okay.
Then we can hit finish.
Yes.
And just like that, we've built a personalized shout it out where kids can share and do that check for understanding in your class as well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if you want to change anything about it, you always can hit that edit button here and always edit it.
Yes, ma'am.
So in the same thing in the top right corner or left corner where it says untitled, let's call this shout it out. So we know what it is, shout it out. And then I'm going to show you one last thing, and then we're going to make sure you know how to share these with your students.
All right. So go
once
back.
You type shout out, go ahead and hit finish editing and get back to your main page.
And then go back to add activities.
Add activities. And this time, look under ready-made resources. Earlier, you saw me use a graphic organizer and I personalized that, but I want us to focus on that question reflection because there's some that are already done for us.
Yes.
So click on the questioning and reflection button.
Okay.
And I want you to slide down to where it says handout activities.
All right.
There's some ideas already here. So there's a 1-minute paper that kids could type everything they know in 1 minute. There's an exit ticket that you could do. There's summarize what you've learned, share 3 things that you've learned. Choose one. I'm going to do the 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Okay, I'll do that too.
Okay, so you just click on that. And again, this is going to add this. You don't have to do anything to it. You can use it exactly as is.
Okay.
If you want to, you are able to edit it and change the question prompts. So like if I were to hit edit, I could actually go in here and change. I can click on the text and change it if I wanted to. But I want my students to share 3 facts they learned about a country. I want them to share 2 questions they still have, and I want them to summarize what they know about that country in one big idea. So I want to keep this as is.
All right.
Because I hit edit, and if you hit edit too, I have to make sure I convert this so my students can type on it and work on it. So look at the bottom where it says convert to activity.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
I want this to be an individual handout. I want kids reflecting by themselves. So I'm going to click individual. And just now it's ready for my students to hit start and share their work with me.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so let's give it a title. So where it says untitled, name it 3, 2, 1.
All right.
And then hit finish editing.
Yes.
All right, so now let's really quickly talk about how would I do these with my students. So let's say you want to do that monster quiz tomorrow or on Friday with your kids. What you're gonna do, so if you want to launch this for your students, what you're gonna do is you're going to, as a teacher, you're going to actually hit start on the monster quiz. So you can do this with me.
All right.
You can hit start. And it's going to launch your monster quiz. Notice that you're in launch mode because you're in start mode because you have that black bar on the left side over there.
Oh, yes.
Now, if we want our students to join, Kelly has 2 ways that you can get them connected through Canvas and that she'll share with you, but I'm just going to show you really quickly how we can get our kids connected immediately. So if I look on the left side, and you can do this too at the same time, there's people here. Click on those people.
Where, please?
On your left side, when you see that black
Oh, I
bar,
see.
you
Yes,
see
I
those
see.
people. Yep, click
Got
on
it.
those. And you should see in the top right corner a little arrow pointing out.
Yes.
If you click on that, it tells your students exactly where to go to get connected to your lesson.
Oh, wow.
So your students would go to hellosmart.com. They would enter your class ID, and that would bring them into your game. And then you would be able to start it for your students. So just so you can see that really quickly, what that looks like, I'm going to do a side by side for you. So if my students would go to hellosmart.com, and again, Kelly and I really recommend using the Canvas options, but she'll have to share those directions for you, and she might be able to walk them through with you at the end too. But all I would do is notice my kids came in. As a teacher now, I can hit start for class, and I can put my kids into groups and start the game right there. So pretty easy to do. And that would be the same thing I would do for any of my activities. So if I wanted to end the monster quiz, I can click on, and you can do this with me, John, those 3 white lines in the top left,
Yes.
click those and choose end lesson.
Yes.
Takes you back to that dashboard. And let's say now I want my kids to do the response. I want them to do an assessment. If I hit start, it launches that lesson, and your students are still going to Hello Smart, or for me, I never left, so it automatically opens that lesson for me as a student.
Oh, I see. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then again, as a teacher, if I just click those 3 white lines, I can end lesson, and it takes me back to my home screen.
Wow. This is fantastic. I said last time, I'll say it again. I got to just over the weekend, just play with this.
So one thing I would do, John, is I would maybe choose like one thing you learned today, like whatever one thing you really liked. So if it was monster quiz,
Yes.
build a monster quiz and do one, or do one this, upcoming next week, and maybe do one the following week so you can get practice with it.
Sure.
And then try something else.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I am definitely going to do that. I am.
And then Kelly, do you have anything to add? Or John, are there any questions that you have that I can help you with as well?
The only thing, if you don't mind, how do I initiate all of this? I go into my Canvas. Now I'm using Ms. Merck's, right? Or this is mine. How do I just initially go in?
Kelly, do you want to share your screen and walk through with John the Canvas side of things?
Sure.
All right, I'll
Okay.
stop sharing so you can take over.
Okay, so
That's the only question I have.
no, it's a great question, and we haven't really touched on it. So definitely opportunity to bring it in. So like you said, you've got your different class periods and stuff, and you go into your SMART. You know, you have your kids come into your Canvas course, and I just put into the chat a link to the step-by-step for synchronous and asynchronous that has each of the steps of how to go through that. And again, I'll have it up on the SMART resource. But let's talk about the students first, and then I'll talk about your side. So again, the students, you'd have that SMART redirect right here in your course navigation. Now, I, as the teacher, what I would do is, because I like to see my whole Canvas or my whole SMART learning suite, is I would go into my Google Drive and I would
Oh.
launch my lesson from there. So especially since I have my items in my SMART because I've been building them there, I would just go into that new, so let me go again. I would come into my Google Drive and then I would go to new and I would navigate down to that more
Got it. Okay.
and then go to Smart Learning Suite. Because what's nice is it's going to bring all of them up, and especially since you're a secondary teacher. Oops, I signed out earlier. Because you're a secondary teacher, you have so many different class periods, and making sure that you're in the right file would be key. So, like Casey was saying, certain ones you may want to identify in your, when you do the naming convention, put period 1, period 2, that type thing. Again, you'll get the hang of what works for you, but
Right.
that's how I would launch it, is so that way I'm in my suite, I've got it nice and large for me, and be able to start it for the students. And then again, on the student side, they would go into their Canvas. It keeps them in Canvas. It keeps them into one tab. They're right here. They then would go into their SMART button. They're not having to go, okay, Mr. Taylor, which tab do I close out now? Which tab do I go in? It's all just staying in one. But I, as a teacher, I would come here and say, okay, if I'm supposed to be launching my 10 frames, I would start it and I would launch here. So that's how I would recommend you as a teacher is, have that Canvas course open for the kids to remind them of the steps. But so you have all of that ability to see your Smart Learning Suite. I would go through my Google Drive and go to the new, navigate to more, and then navigate to Smart Learning Suite and open up the dashboard there.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, thank you. That now yeah, I got it down.
Good. See, that's why you have to ask those questions.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, both of you. I really do appreciate it. I feel funny, being the only one.
Hey, I think that's great. You get a small group.
Mm-hmm.
I learn better in small groups too.
Well, and it's great, and we appreciate you coming again. And again, I'm not sure what happened to Miss Kimball, but come and learn with us and ask those questions, because guess what? Now you get to be somebody who can maybe talk to one of your colleagues, on one thing and share with them. So,
yes, ma'am.
but we're here to support you. And next week, let's see, I can't remember what off the top of my head what next week says. Simple but effective interactive activities for synchronous and asynchronous. So again, we kind of add some new flair from what we've been doing. Hopefully this did give you some other new ideas from last week, and now they're new this week. So again, what Casey and I like to do is just try to continue to bring back some of the same things, but change them up and then add on to it.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you both very, very much. I hope you both have a very nice evening. I'll let you go because I know you're tired. So thank you. I really do appreciate
I'm sure you're tired.
Yes, exactly.
No, I just, it's changed my teaching. I mean, before lesson plans were so boring, and now, yeah, I do the lesson plan, but now I go into the Canvas or, the smart board, and it just changed totally the way I'm teaching.
Oh, awesome.
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
awesome, John. That's really great. I mean, I know this has been such a challenging year to try and engage with kids and meet kids where their needs are, and not being able to be with them the same way that we have. So I really, really appreciate you spending time trying to learn new things that will help you with your teaching and help your students feel connected to what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you both again, and I will let you go. Thank you.
All
Okay,
right,
thanks,
bye.
guys.
Nice to
Bye-bye.
see you, John.
Good night. Bye-bye.